Hello, everybody. So, my name is Jesse, and I am with Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants. I know many of you are new to our organization, and so if you are joining us for the first time, we are all about bringing conservation, adventure, and science into classrooms around the world through free interactive broadcasts. In 2021, we did over 600 sessions, all of which are on our YouTube channel. You can go check out any number of topics there anytime you'd like. And today marks our very first program of 2022. So, I know it's a really odd time for teachers and students, and so I really want to just express my sincere gratitude for you all joining us today. Right now, we have over 600 people. I stopped counting at 45 classes on YouTube, so hundreds and hundreds of you from around the globe. Welcome into all you teachers, and it's so nice to get underway with such a special program. Now, before we dive in with our special topic today, I do want to note that we are going to have a little interactive bit before the Q&A section. So if all of you want to go to Kahoot.com and a separate tab in your computers, I'll give you the game pin after Toki's broadcast today, and so get ready there. We're going to have a brief little 4-question fun quiz as well. Now, without further ado, we are going back to my former employer and one of the best organizations for conservation education in the country, and that is Ripleys Aquarium of Canada. They are the largest indoor aquarium in the country. They have over 16,000 animals, 400 species. They're just an incredible organization. And so today we are going to dive in with their Ray Bay tank. We're going to learn all about their amazing stingrays, clear up some misconceptions, and just in general revel in the magic of the ocean world. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Toki there to blow our minds. We've got a diver coming in the tank soon as well. Toki, thank you so much for joining us today, man, and take us away.
Thank you for having me, Jesse, and hello, everyone. I hope you're having a good day so far, or you're enjoying your day so far. Today, I'll be sharing with all of you how here at Ripleys Aquarium of Canada, how we feed our stingrays. Our scuba diver will be helping us out with that. They will get into the water whenever they're ready. For now, let me just share some context or some information to give you some context about what we're looking at. So I am showing you our third largest tank in the aquarium. This is a Ray Bay. The habitat's name is Ray Bay, and it houses about 40 to 50 stingrays in total numbers, which is divided into about 4 different types or 4 different species. You can also see in the habitat that there are more animals in here than just stingrays. We have sharks that you'll see swim around. And we also have a lot of fish. These fish are very big, or are big compared to the normal size for these types of fish. And if you're curious, I'll tell you why later on. But for now, I will introduce our stingrays. The ones that you will see get fed later on would be these pancake-looking stingrays that I'm showing you right now. These ones are called southern stingrays. Southern, like in north, east, south, and west. Southern stingrays, and they are given that name because they are found around the southern coast of the Atlantic Ocean, the southern coast of America or of United States, in the Atlantic Ocean part, so around Florida, basically. Now, these southern stingrays, I brought something cool with me. Later on, you'll see them chew their food. But to show you what their mouth would look like, I have here an example of a jaw. I will move backwards so you can see the jaw better. There we go. This is what their jaw would look like. And as you can tell, their teeth are not sharp at all. It's very flat, and there's a purpose for that. And I'll share with you what they use it for in a bit. Now, these stingrays, a cool fact to share with you, we only have female southern stingrays in this tank. We only have female southern stingrays in this tank, mainly for population control. Just to share with you, these southern stingrays, they are capable of giving birth twice per year, and per batch or per litter, they can give birth to somewhere between 12 to 14 pups. And that is a lot of stingray. I know that we don't have enough hands to be able to keep up with that number. So yes, we do employ some sort of population control for them, just because we don't want to put too much or take on more than what we can handle, and we want to be able to take care we want to be able to give the best care that we can give to the stingrays that we already have right now. Oh, and right now you can see our scuba diver. I believe, and I could be wrong, but I believe this is Francis. I'll give a wave to Francis for all of you guys. And yeah, Let me see. Let me bring the camera closer so I can try and guess what we're feeding the stingrays. Huh. From the looks of it, I can see some hake. Oh, that is some very quick action. And that food right there, that looks like hake. It has a white flesh, so I'm assuming that's hake. I believe from what they've been feeding the stingrays recently, I believe they're also gonna get some shrimp and maybe bonito. But maybe the bonito is for the other stingrays in the tank. Anyway, I'll move back so that you guys can see the stingrays eating their food. Um, if you remember the jaw that I showed you earlier, I'll just pick it back up so that you can see, or so that I can highlight for all of you. If you remember this jaw, and the fact that it's not very sharp, um, you will see that the stingray, since their teeth are not very sharp, they chew their food a lot. We have that one right there. You'll see that they put a lot of effort into chewing their food. Sometimes it looks like they're spitting out their food and then they're pulling it back in. But that just helps them chew their food and it'll make it easier for them to digest their food. You might be wondering, how is having flat teeth beneficial for these southern stingrays? Well, they actually use it for crushing the exoskeleton of crustaceans. One of their favorite food in the ocean would be shrimps and crabs that they would find in the bottom of the ocean. Southern stingrays are types of stingrays that stay in the bottom part of the ocean. Now, the second type of stingray that we have here, we have this big one right here. Let me try and get a better angle. There we go. That one right there in the center of the screen, that stingray is Max. Max is a rough-tailed stingray, the second type of stingray that we have in this tank. And we only have 2 rough-tailed stingrays in this tank. You'll notice, we wait for this southern stingrays to move out of the way. You'll notice that rough-tailed stingrays, Max specifically, looks very similar to other southern stingrays in the water. And that is because they are closely related. They are basically first cousins in regards to stingrays and being related to each other. They're first cousins. That's why they look very similar. One difference, or one way to tell them apart, is that rough-tailed stingrays, they have extra bumps on top of their skin. And southern stingrays, they have a small fin underneath their tail, which the rough-tails don't have. Now, a cool fact about the rough-tailed stingrays is that in the ocean, they are actually known to be one of the deepest diving stingray species out there. They can dive up to about 350 meters underwater. Oh, I can see Francis is trying to feed Max right here. And from the looks of it, Francis is holding that I would say is a bonito, a big piece of bonito fillet. Let's see. We'll see if Max is hungry. He'll drop by. Anyway, going back to the rough-tailed stingrays. They're one of the deepest diving stingrays in the ocean. And like their cousin, the southern stingrays, they like to stay near the bottom of the ocean. It doesn't mean that they would always stay around that depth, around the 350-meter depth underwater. Usually, they would stay somewhere closer to the surface or somewhere that's more shallow, because they're in areas that are more shallow in the ocean. That's where more light can pass through, or that's where light can reach, and that means there's more food in there or in that area for the stingrays. But yeah. You'll see the the rough-tailed stingrays eat their food later on. At the moment, we are just trying to feed our southerns and our rough-tails in this part of Ray Bay. The other 2 types of stingray, we are feeding them in different parts of Ray Bay. And that is a good introduction to our third type of stingray. Now, the third type of stingray we have here would be spotted eagle rays. Let's see, I can see one behind Francis, but it's hiding in the rocks. I'll point it out later on if it swims closer. But I think this is better to focus on the action that's happening right now. Here is one of our spotted eagle rays right here. It's a bit tough to see the spots on their back. I'm not that tall. But it should have polka dots. It does have polka dots on the back, on the top of its body. That's why it's called a spotted eagle ray. A cool fact about the spotted eagle rays is that in the ocean, they're actually capable of jumping out of the water for up to about 6 feet high. You might be wondering, why would an animal that needs to be underwater to be able to breathe, why would they want to jump out of the water? Well, there are a few theories out there. One is that it's jumping out of the water is a good way to avoid predation. Say, for example, if a big shark is chasing you, and yes, the sharks can eat stingrays, or if a big killer whale is chasing you, it's very helpful if you can jump out of the water. It'll help you live for another day. Another theory out there is that this process of jumping out of the water, once the stingray enters the or hits the water, or upon impact when it's going back down, when it's falling back down to the water, it apparently helps remove parasites off of the body of the spotted eagle ray. And also for some spotted eagle rays, specifically the females, apparently it helps induce labor. It gives labor, the process of giving birth, a jump start. Now, another cool fact about the spotted eagle rays, and I'm a big fan of them, is that they are very smart. That's why we feed them in a separate location, because if we tried to feed the spotted eagle rays in the same area as you can see as where we are feeding the spotted eagle rays or the southern stingrays, the spotted eagle rays would find ways to try and take the food from the southern stingrays. It happens a lot. And that just means that the southern stingrays would get less food for them. So we've developed this method of feeding our spotted eagle rays at the very top of the tank. Over there, it's a bit far from there, but it's at the shallower end of the tank. And we actually use target feeding for the spotted eagle rays since they're very smart. With target feeding, we train the spotted eagle rays to remember a target. And when they see that target underwater, they would know that it's feeding time for them. Before the spotted eagle ray gets their food, they would need to perform an action. In this case, the spotted eagle ray would the target for the spotted eagle rays would be a gray elbow pipe, and the spotted eagle rays would need to tap the tip of their nose or their rostrum on the elbow pipe before we give them their food. You might it works a lot. They've never gone hungry. I can tell you that. I brought something cool with me that our scuba divers just gave to us to my department a few days ago. I'll move back to where the light is so I can show you. But our scuba divers found a full set of spotted eagle ray teeth, or tooth in this case. This is one set of one tooth for a stingray. It's one row. It occupies one row on the mouth of a stingray. And for if you happen to Google spotted eagle ray and their jaw or their teeth, you would notice that you would notice more of this type of teeth or tooth, I guess, that are placed close to each other. And it's described as a plate because if you see what their jaw looks like, it looks like their teeth are forming a plate of some sort. Anyway, this is the tooth of a spotted eagle ray. You might be wondering why is it shaped unusually or why is it shaped weirdly? Well, this shape is described as the chevron shape. And apparently this shape gives stability, or it makes the jaw and the teeth of spotted eagle rays stronger, which is essential for the spotted eagle ray because one of their favorite snacks in the ocean are shellfish, clams, oysters, any shellfish, any bivalves, any true shellfish that they can find. So yes, they do require their teeth to be stronger. At this point, you'll notice that the water has gotten murkier. It has gotten darker because there's a lot of food particles swimming around. I mentioned earlier that some of our fish in this tank, they've grown way bigger compared to all of the other fish of the same type in different habitats. That is because of what's floating in the water, all of the leftover food particles. A lot of our fish here, they eat whatever's floating in the water and they get big off of that. We don't even purposely try to feed these fish anymore. You can see this one right here trying to grab food. We don't purposely feed them because they get a lot of food from the leftover food particles. That's, I think, is a really interesting example of how resources, in this case food, is recycled well or is used well in the ocean. Anyway, our fourth type of stingray are called cow-nosed stingrays. They are the smallest in the tank, and they are the ones that we have the most in total numbers. That is a good example of what a cow-nosed stingray looks like. And those ones right there, you can see a really good view of their modified fin. These ones that I'm showing you, let me see if I can change the angle. That one right there. If you look closely at the stingray, it looks like they've got lips, or they're using their lips that's flapping around. Those are not a part of their mouth. Those are not lips. Those are actually. Actually, before I finish that sentence, I think Francis over here also found more stingray tooth in the water. That is awesome. So this one right here is from the spotted eagle ray. I know that the one that I showed you is more cool. I agree. And this one right here is from our cow-nose stingray. Our stingrays, I haven't mentioned this yet, but stingrays, they lose their teeth often. It falls off often, just like with sharks. But it will grow back. The new ones will grow back in place, just like with sharks. It falls often because they use their mouth a lot, especially when they're eating. Sometimes when they're curious, they would try and swallow whatever's making them curious, or try and bite whatever's making them curious. That's natural for animals. And yeah, they lose their teeth a lot. That's okay, because it will grow back. Now, just to finish what I was mentioning about the cow-nose stingrays, I was talking about how they've got modified teeth, modified fins that looks like lips. The purpose of these modified fins is actually to disturb the sand, and to try and push the sand out of the way to get access to food that they think is hiding in the sand. Anyway, just a lot of cool stuff about stingrays. One fact that I forgot to mention about the cow-nose, by the way, is that they're given the name cow-nose because the tip of their head, their rostrum, it looks very similar to the nose of a cow. Let's see if I can find one to focus on. We have this one right here. It's got food. It's bringing along some food as well. But yes. Hopefully you can see the two lobes that apparently looks like a cow's nose. That is how they got their name, or that is how they are giving their name. Anyway, now that I've introduced all of our stingrays, and I believe our southerns and our roughtails are done eating their food, so I think Francis has gone up to try and feed the cow nose. So we'll see less stingrays from here or in the area right now. Now that I've introduced all of our stingrays, there's one thing that I would really love to talk about or to mention real quick. A lot of our guests here at the aquarium, they would often ask me, "Aren't stingrays the animal? Aren't the scuba divers afraid of stingrays? How can scuba divers swim with stingrays when stingrays are so dangerous?" That is actually a common misconception that stingrays are dangerous. Apparently, stingrays are one of the most feared animals in the ocean right now. More people are afraid of stingrays than they are of drowning, apparently. And that is because of the presence of a venomous barb or stinger on the tail of a stingray. So stingrays, that is their defense mechanism, having a venomous barb. I actually brought with me an example of the tip of a barb. I lost my full barb sample, but I do have what the tip of its barb looked like. Let me try and put it on, show it to you guys in front of the camera. Let me try and change how I'm holding it so we can see it better. There you go. Well, hopefully that's better. But this is the tip of a venomous barb that I just dropped. The one thing that I wanted to point out by showing you that barb is how pointy it is. So the main purpose of the venomous barb of a stingray is that whenever they are scared, whenever they feel like their life is in danger, that they have no other option, then they would resort to using their venomous barb, the very pointy barb, to try and attack whatever's making them scared, or to try and scare away whatever's trying to making them feel scared. Now, the main part that I want all of you to focus on is the fact that they only use it for life or death situations, and if they have no other options left. One reason why that is important is because people have this misconception that stingrays, whenever they're in the water, they would just randomly use their barb at whatever's swimming in the water, but that is not the case. Stingrays will only ever use it for defending themselves, not for attacking, but only for defending themselves. Stingrays, in general, they don't care about us when we're in the water, as long as we're not bothering them. They could get curious sometimes. They would swim close to check out what we are, but once they figure it out that we are what we are, they would leave us alone. And I think that's actually a really good rule that we should follow whenever we see animals in the wild. You can watch from a safe distance, but leave them alone. Let the animal do what it wants to do. So you can watch the animal as long as you're doing so from a safe distance. Anyway, the point that I was trying to make is that stingrays, they are not to be feared. They are lovely creatures. They are lovely animals. They're very interesting. Their venomous barb, they will ever only use it for defending themselves, not really for attacking. Most stingray accidents that involve humans are just accidents where people would accidentally step on baby stingrays that are resting near the shore. Um, One thing as well that I wanted to mention, since we're talking about misconceptions, is the fear of sharks. It is also one thing that a lot of people are afraid of or are wary of sharks in the ocean. I can tell you right now that the probability, in regards to statistics, the chances of a person getting injured by a shark is less. There is very low. I believe the statistics in 2016. So it's been a while. So this probably could have been updated. But in 2016, about 6 to 10 people were involved in shark-related accidents, and that's not a very big value. If we reverse that value, if we reverse that value, say for example, how many sharks do people harm per year? This is very scary. This is very frightening. People on record, according to the World Wildlife Foundation, people end up harming about 150 million up to 200 million sharks per year. It's a very big value. There are many reasons why this happens. One would be for shark finning and catching the animal for their meat of some sorts. But anyway, I'm diverging a little bit. The point that I'm trying to make is that we shouldn't really be afraid of sharks. We should respect sharks like any other animal that we see in the ocean or in the wild. We should respect this animal, but we shouldn't be afraid of the shark. We should understand that sharks are predators, and some sharks can get really, really big. So if you see a shark in the ocean, keep your distance, leave the animal alone. You can be curious, you can watch, but make sure to keep your distance and you're not invading the animal's personal space. The chances of sharks attacking people is not that big. It's just overblown by the media and by some movies from Hollywood. But like most movies, we all know that it's not based on reality. Anyway, I dove a little bit into the conservation of these animals, or in what's happening with sharks right now. So I wanted to talk about the conservation for these animals real quick. Sharks and stingrays, and yes, it's true for stingrays as well. Their population is not doing so well. In the last few decades, in the last 3 or 4 decades, shark population has decreased by about 80%, depending on the species. I have read reports of about 2 shark species going extinct within the last 4 decades or last 3 decades, and mainly because of us humans and what we do to these animals and what we do to the environment. Our impact to the environment plays a role as well. With climate change, of course, turning the ocean into a place that could become unlivable for these animals. So how can we help out? If you want to help out with shark population and stingrays and any animal in the ocean, really, one of the best advice that I can give you, friends, is to share what you know, the things that you hear from the things that you learn from school, the things that you read about from textbooks, especially about these animals and the misconceptions about these animals. Share them with the people that surround you. Share them with your friends. Share them with your siblings. Share them with your cousins, with your parents, with your aunts and uncles. Sharing knowledge can increase awareness. It can increase awareness of the problems that these animals are facing. It can also increase awareness that help is needed for these animals and for the ocean as well. Another advice that I can give you is to consider supporting sustainable seafood if you want to eat seafood. Sustainable seafood are just food or fish that you want to buy from a market or from the grocery store or even from a restaurant that was caught sustainably or not. That was caught sustainably, I mean. There is an organization that you can Google. Their name is Oceanwise, and they have a really good guide in their website to help you decide or help you tell if a fish that you want to eat or want to buy was caught sustainably or not. Anyway, I will end my talking there because I feel like I've taken too much time, but I will pass it back to you, Jesse.
Fantastic, Toki. Not too much time at all. That was awesome, man. And as I said, we have over 1,000 kids from across North America in this broadcast today. Just thank you for all our teachers for tuning in. This was awesome. We got some close-up feeding as well, which you never know what you're going to get with live animals. So that's a pretty special opportunity. So we're going to dive in with questions. I've been answering a few in the chat. We're going to go to our live classes in just a minute. But first, I wanted to give you the chance to join in on that Kahoot quiz. So for those teachers that have Kahoot who want to do it in a separate tab, Kahoot.com with the game pin 619-7535. Toki, I'll keep you around so that we can do this together. I'm going to bring this up in a screen share for everybody. You don't win any prizes, but you do win Toki and I's everlasting respect, which is more important than any prize. So we're going to bring this up. If you guys want to join in over the next minute and keep this playing, we're going to have this underway momentarily. Till then, I wanted to highlight again our Ocean-wide Sustainable Seafood. If you guys want to check that out, it's an amazing organization. They do some really, really fantastic work. We've actually partnered with Ocean-wise in a bevy of programs in the past. And if you want to learn more about amazing aquarium animals, just head to our YouTube channel. We have over 20 programs with the Ripleys Aquarium team. Lots of opportunity to keep the excitement going and share your enthusiasm for wildlife with your friends and family. So many people pouring in Kahoot. This is awesome. We're going to get underway in just a minute. While they're pouring in, I'm going to note too that all our registered classes, we are going to send you a Padlet at the end of this broadcast. So if you want to share additional questions, please feel free to do that there. We're going to leave that open for about 48 hours to give you guys a chance to get more of those queries in, because frankly, we're getting more questions than we could possibly cover in one broadcast. Now, guys, there's so many of you coming in. This is great. Keep pouring in. We are going to get underway with our Kahoot. These are 20-second or 10-second questions. The faster you answer, the more points you get. And let's dive in. All right, Toki, here we go. Question number one. Stingrays use what to catch their prey? We saw a little bit today in the program. Electric shocks, their venomous barb, paddle slaps, just swimming around, slapping everything, or their mouth. What did we see? Did you see what? I'm sure as we were having them eating today, many of you will have a chance to do that. Let's see. Are any answers pouring in? No, that was unusual, but the answer is their mouth. Maybe something's going wrong. This is half the fun of video broadcast. Something has to go a little strangely. So the answer is their mouth. No paddle slaps, no venomous barbs. Oh, a few of you got in answers before that. That's great. All right, let's go to our next question. Jolly Cheetah currently in the lead. Nicely done. Again, the faster you answer, the more points you get. Stingrays are most closely related to, they might be in the tank with them. Sharks, seahorses, scorpions, or flatfish. Bonus points if you want to be silly and say scorpions, I think. But let's see, what's the thing that makes them linked to one of these other creatures? Maybe what their skeleton's made of? We've been getting a lot of this in YouTube. 81 answers. Way to go, guys. All right, our answer is sharks. And the thing that unites them is their cartilage skeleton. So if you feel your nose, if you feel your ears right now, those are made of cartilage. It's a little bit different from bone. We've got bony skeletons. They've got cartilage skeletons. And both stingrays and sharks share that. Tropical Bunny is taking our lead. All right. Let's keep going and keep this on. Multi-select. So there's multiple answers in this, more than one. What extra senses do stingrays have? They can fly, like in this picture. They can sense motion in the water with a lateral line. They can sense electricity with an ampullae of Lorenzini. We didn't talk about this today, but maybe sounds pretty sciencey. Sounds pretty magic-y. I don't know. Or an amazing sense of style. Toki, what do we think?
I would say anything that sounds big, anything with big words, I think is a good idea. I don't know.
Perfect. Yeah. All right. Well, lateral line and ampullae of Lorenzini, they've got 7 senses. We've got 5 as people. They've got 7, which is really, really cool. They can sense motion in the water. They can sense electricity. We're having some Kahoot weirdness. That's half the fun. Let's go to our final question. This was mentioned at the end of the broadcast. True or false? Stingrays need our help. You only have 10 seconds for this one. What was Toki talking about at the end with regards to conservation? I think the answer is probably yes. We're going to see. We got one more second. Play it at home, whether you're playing in the Kahoot or not. All right. And we are going to get to our final thing. See our winner. If you are the winner of this, even amidst some of the weirdness, let us know in the chat. We'd love to see. And again, we are going to have a Padlet for classes at the end if you want to share more questions, but lots of opportunities to be interactive. If you're on YouTube right now, get those thinking caps on. Share your questions in the chat. Our winner of our Kahoot is Tropical Bunny. Way to go. Very
Congratulations.
today. Anyway, thank you guys so much for playing along. And Togi, we're going to dive in with that question period now. So I'm going to go to our live classes. Again, we've got a whole bunch of live groups with us. So Eagleswood third graders, come on in to kick us off. Welcome in, guys. Hello. Do you have a question for Togi?
Hey, folks.
All right, come on up. Do you have a question for Togi?
He muted us.
So what is our question today, guys?
What question? Guys have a question?
Yeah. No.
Nobody has a question.
Oh yeah. I have a question.
What's your question?
Why are stingrays called stingrays?
Why are they called stingrays, Toki?
That is a good question. And the best answer I can give you is because of the presence of the venomous stinger or the venomous barb on their tail. But yes, that is why they're called stingrays. They've got the venomous barbs.
Yeah, easy. We didn't need to go complicated in that one. There was no ampullite or anything. Stingrays have a stinger. There you go. Nice job, guys. And I love the enthusiasm. Let's head to Miss Holt's class, joining us in Alberta. In Miss Phil, welcome in, guys. And
How strong is a stingray shock? And bonus question, can you have one as a pet?
Can you have a stingray pet? How strong are they?
That is a good question. First of all, I just wanted to say that it's a common misconception that every stingray can shock things. There is one type of stingray or one species of stingrays called the torpedo rays that can release electric shocks, but not every stingray can do that. And if you were wondering how strong of a shock the torpedo rays can produce, I've read somewhere that the electric eels are the strongest electric fish. Electric fishes are different fish that can create electric shock. And apparently, the torpedo rays have about 1/3 of the strength of an electric eel's shock. I believe electric eels and their shocks can reach electric eels can discharge about 800 volts of energy. So 1/3 of that would be about what the torpedo rays can produce.
Yeah. And for what it's worth, so electric eels are the #1 in the world. They actually can kill people. It's very, very unlikely. You're much more likely to just be shocked and have an unpleasant experience, but they're the only creature that can lethally attack people with electricity. But stingrays, other than our torpedo ray, not affiliated with electricity. That was my gag in the Kahoot quiz, and I'm really glad we got that question. Toby, can you keep them as pets? Should you have stingrays as pets? Easy answer.
Thank you for the second part of the question. I completely forgot about that, Jesse. Stingrays, I personally would say that do not keep stingrays as pets, just because, as you can see, these animals can grow really big, and it's going to be really hard to take care of these animals. And they're already not doing so well in the ocean right now, unfortunately. I would say I think it's possible to take care of anything, but you would need to have the space for it, and you would need to be able to properly take care of the animal. But I would suggest to not use these animals as pets. There are other more domesticated animals out there that are better pets.
Yeah, there sure are, and I'm really glad we got that covered. Again, one of the things that differentiates aquariums from what you can do at home is that they have the highest standards of animal care. Ripley's, even though they're close to the public right now, has a whole dedicated staff of people that live and breathe taking care of wildlife. So they know what to do. They have amazing tanks, amazing technological setups, and that allows them to keep these amazing animals. So make sure we just enjoy them either in an aquarium or zoo setting or in the wild. And I really love that we got that question. We're going to go to Miss Cobb in California in just a second, but I do want to give a shout out to Charlotte at Middlebury Public School. Way to go for being our tropical bunny and winning our Kahoot quiz today. Nicely done. Miss Cobb, come on in. Hey guys, welcome in.
Hey.
Hi.
All right. Got a question? What's the stingray that has the longest lifespan?
Ooh, no pressure, Toki.
That is a great question. But I can tell you right now that scientists believe that stingrays can live up to about 50 to 60 years on average. And I say that I said the word believe because these things are not exact. As much as we say that we know the exact science of the stingrays and animals in the ocean, it's actually very hard to exactly tell their age. Just because the best way to tell the age of an animal with a cartilage for their skeletons, such as the stingrays and the sharks, is by checking their vertebra or their backbone and counting the rings on their backbone. But that would mean that we would need to find a dead body of the animal in the wild because we don't want to kill the animal. Anyway, that's why I say that the scientists believe that stingrays can live up to somewhere between 50 to 60 years old. But yeah.
Which is really long for an animal. Most animals don't get anywhere near that. Humans are pretty unique, and I know that's our basis of comparison, but it's very rare for creatures to get that old. Some sharks we know can get over 200 as well, which is really, really cool. So great question, guys. All right, let's head to Kamloops, BC, or Kelowna, BC. Sorry, guys. Miss Van Ryan's class, come on in, 3/4. Welcome in. Hi, Glenmore.
What up, Ruben?
Hi.
Go ahead. What's the biggest species, like in size, of the stingrays?
Yeah.
That is a great question. That would be the manta rays. Now, I'm not sure. You've probably seen manta rays in the ocean. They're really, really big. But there are people out there that consider manta rays and other stingrays, such as the southern stingrays, as separate species. But technically, they all belong under the same umbrella. They're all related. They're all stingrays. It's just that manta rays, they are a type of stingray that don't have the venomous barb or the stinger, if that makes sense. Somewhere along their evolutionary path, they decided that it's not helpful for them, so they got rid of it.
Yeah. I really do. I love every time manta rays get brought up. They're my favorite animal in the ocean. I encourage everyone to check them out. They can be 22 feet wingtip to wingtip and weigh several thousand pounds. They're a wild, unbelievable animal. And in terms of actual stingrays with a stinger, the largest is in the Philippines, about 13 feet around is a big disc. It's a wild, crazy creature. If you look up giant stingray or manta ray, you'll see lots of pictures of it on Google when you're done. All right, let's head to Miss Cotarello's class, and then we're going to take a few questions from YouTube. We have so many great questions. This is great. Miss Cotarello, welcome in.
Hello. We are not in class. We're remote right now, but we have a few questions. One of them was already answered, the lifespan of the ray. We've also got what is their favorite food and what is their population in the wild, and do they have a live birth or do they lay eggs?
Okay, we can cover a few of those in YouTube too. You've got a bunch of them, but I really love live birth or eggs. So let's stick with that one, Togi.
Yeah, that is a great question. Especially with these animals, that's something that not a lot of people think about. Anyway, stingrays, they actually give live birth. They actually do live birth, but there is a bit of a difference as compared to how mammals would give live birth. With stingrays, they would create the eggs. And they would keep the fertilized eggs in their womb. There is no attachment. There is no placental attachment. Everything that the fetus, the embryo, and eventually the fetus would need is found within the egg. All of the nutrients that it needs. And when it's ready, it'll just hatch from its egg and exit from the stingray's womb. But yes.
I've had the chance in person when I used to work at the aquarium to see baby cow nose rays, which are easily the most adorable animal in the whole aquarium. If you're lucky, they do breed there quite regularly. And that's a question we've been getting a lot is where do you guys get animals? And so a lot of aquariums, certainly fantastic ones like the Ripleys Aquarium of Canada, get animals from breeding programs with other zoos and aquaria around the globe. But you can sometimes, if you're lucky, at the Ray Bay Touch Tank, see some of those baby stingrays that come out live. They're very, very cool. But also, look up shark eggs, everyone, when you're done. It's always one of the plugs I like to throw in, but they're so, so cool. All right, guys. Time flies when you're having fun. We are going to take a few YouTube questions and then we'll wrap up with just some more info about how you keep the learning going. We've got a lot of questions. Even Miss McNeely's class wants to know why some of them have curly tails. This has been one of our more popular questions. So what's the deal with the curly tails, Toki?
So those curly tails are something that they are born with. Stingrays, when they are in the womb, specifically the stingrays that you saw with the curled tails are the southern stingrays. As I mentioned earlier, per litter, a stingray can give birth to somewhere between 12 to 14 pups. You can just imagine that there's not a lot of space in there, so it's very tight, it's very cramped. And for the stingray to save, for the baby stingrays in the womb, for them to save space, their tail is wrapped tightly around their body. Normally, their tail, when they leave the womb, it's supposed to straighten out, but sometimes it doesn't, and that is what you get. Our two stingrays here with the curly tail. That one right there is Corky because its tail resembles a corkscrew, and this one right here is Kinky because its tail looks like it's kinked. But yes.
Perfect. Thanks, Toki. All right, 2 more questions from YouTube. Miss Glor's class. This is a very common question. They're at upper team school. They want to know if rays travel in groups. So I know we've got a bunch of them in the tank today. How about in the wild? Rays in groups or not?
Yes, they can. There are some types of stingrays that can swim together. They can travel in groups, especially when they're migrating, when they're in search for more food. Traveling in groups just provides more safety for them, and they're going to the same place anyway. But yes, they can.
Awesome. I want to stress, we've got a few classes along the east coast of the United States today. Some of the biggest stingray groups in the world go up the coast from Florida, Georgia, South Carolina. You can see footage of them from satellites. It's so wild. Really, really cool stuff. I do want to give a quick shout out to our grade 2 homeschooler, Philip in Calgary, who has loved stingrays since he was a little kid and is really, really keen on today's program. So thank you, Toki, for the experience for him. And for all our students today, this has been so much fun. I'm going to take one more quick question, and then we are going to wrap up from there. So many questions on YouTube. This is crazy. I love the enthusiasm, guys. How about we take one that we have from one of our live classes as well? What is their favorite food? Is there something they particularly like to eat there, Toki?
I've been told that these stingrays, especially the southerns, they are big fans of shrimp, white shrimp specifically. I've even been told that if they don't get shrimp on certain days, they actually tend to spit out the food that they're given.
Nice.
Mainly capelin. They're not big fans of capelin, our aquarist says. But yeah, they love shrimp, and sometimes they will spit out any food that is not shrimp.
That's awesome. What a great story. Guys, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much to all our teachers from across Canada, the United States, and beyond for joining us for today's program. If you want to learn more about the amazing work Ripley's does, go to ripleysAquariums.com/Canada. You can also check out all the YouTube past programs at Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants. Our website has all our programs coming up for the month of January and beyond, and we've got so many exciting things on the go. If you guys want to share even more questions after the program, I know many of you didn't get your questions answered today. I'll be sending a Padlet to all our registered classes, so please feel free to share your questions there. And I just want to say thanks so much. Toki, is there one last message before we wrap up and bring our classes in for a goodbye that we should leave with today for everybody?
That's it for me. If anything, I would like to stress the importance of taking care of your environment. Be aware of what's happening around you, and have fun, folks. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Fantastic. Well, Toki, as you know what we do to end every broadcast, I'm going to bring in all our live classes to say a big thank you and farewell. So Eagleswood, Miss Holt, Miss Koss, Miss Van Owen, Miss Colorado, thank you so much for joining today.